commissioners on Microsoft Teams. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the commission is meeting virtually. The meeting is being live streamed on the Port's YouTube channel. Pam, let's see, I'm sorry. Call for a motion and second for approval of the minutes of the regular commission meeting of December 9th, 2020.
I will so move. Then I will second.
Thank you. Pam, would you lead us to a roll call vote, please?
Yes, Commissioners Alexander. Commissioner Alexander. Commissioner Kupro-Comas.
Aye.
Lamb.
Aye.
Levy.
Aye.
McDonald. Nemi. O'Halloran.
Aye.
Pierce.
Aye.
And Saruta.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Curtis, would you please provide the executive director's report?
I'd be happy to. Good morning, commissioners. First, I'd like to acknowledge the Port's monthly safety champions. The photos were briefly on the screen. Here they are again. You'll see once again folks from across the Port, business and family, really committed to watching out for each other and their colleagues and our customers and partners. Just really grateful for their work and recognition this month. Stan Waters, are you with us for a safety message this morning?
I am.
Great.
First, I would like to report on the Port's progress on our employee safety and health journey as we turn the page on year 2020. In 2020, the Port continued to take ground on our journey to advance our safety systems, accountabilities, and culture. I want to highlight just a few of these significant accomplishments. We assimilated to have essential employees continue to work on site to support critical infrastructure during a global pandemic. We also provided remote work safety enablement for administrative employees who were working from their homes. We continued safety integration with business lines to drive emphasis on crafting and executing action plans to improve on our safety culture opportunities identified in the Employee Safety Perception Survey that we conducted in fiscal year 2019. We enabled and executed on increased safety hazard reporting by employees through portals on our Navigator homepage, our quick response QR code stickers, or through contacting supervisors or a safety committee member. We had rigorous adherence to our incident reporting and investigation procedures. In 2020, 117 incidents were reported and investigated. Investigations captured the facts of the case, analyzed causation, and prescribed actions to prevent reoccurrence to drive continuous improvement. Our improved communications and sharing of incidents across business lines exploited the learning organization. Year-end results included a marked increase in near miss and property damage case reporting, while reducing serious injuries by 69%. We had disciplined use and business metrics from our corrective action planning tool. The CAP tool is used to track safety hazard corrections and incident investigations, actions to prevent reoccurrence activities to closure. The enterprise closure rate for 2020 was 89.5% on 355 tasks from 193 safety and health issues. And we continued our pivot to online safety education and training started in 2019 with the production and delivery of several new courses, including COVID precautions. These are just some of the focused efforts and elevated execution expectations put in place during 2020 that led to the Port of Portland's safest year. We had just 10 OSHA recordable injuries and our total recordable injury rate was 1.41 over the 12 months of 2020. Our previous 12-month low was 1.51, which occurred from April 2018 to March 2019. Now, my brief safety message today aims to bring awareness that the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency has designated January as National Radon Action Month. Over the last 2 years, nearly 350 radon test kits were distributed to Port employees and an at-home safety wellness campaign via the employee safety committees. Most test results were below the EPA recommended action level of 4 picocuries per liter, with an adjusted average of 3.23. However, there were some alarming results, such as a 38 picocurie per liter, where the employee retested and confirmed the result was 54. The employee completed some passive mitigation actions, and it tested showed a result of 16, and then put in an active radon mitigation system, lowering the level to 0.5. These measurements are taken in the lowest living space of our homes, and in some instances now our home offices. So please test your home and spread the word. We again are providing test kits to employees who have yet to test their homes this year. Curtis, that's my message today.
Thanks, Stan. As someone who's working out of his basement, I appreciate the recognition that people are spending more time in the lower reaches of their homes. I really appreciate the work that the team has put into getting radon testing kits into the hands of port employees, and just urge port employees, these are free, we'll send them to you. If you haven't done it at your home, please do. It's really important. So thanks, Stan, and also congratulations to the team. Just really extraordinary focus on safety this year. I appreciate the best in port history performance. We've still got a ways to go, but just really pleased with the progress there. So thank you. Back to the executive director comments. I know everybody's still reeling a bit from a challenging start to 2021. I was listening this morning on the radio to impeachment proceedings. We've just had a jarring week of news swinging from what for me was a remarkable expression of voters in Georgia making a historic change to a shocking attack on democracy in Washington, D.C., especially for those who've been demanding justice and equity for months and years. I just feel really fortunate that we've got a team here at the port that's open to different ideas and interested in understanding each other. It's something we've been specifically working on, listening to each other, sharing space to understand each other more. And so I'm really proud of the port family here, and grateful for everyone's effort to really help each other feel welcome and included in the activities at the port. Speaking of Congress and the halls of Congress, we're really grateful to the Washington and Oregon delegation in DC for fighting for airports and for aviation and travel industry to be included in the latest stimulus package. PDX is currently seeing approximately 70% decline in travelers. As you'll recall, we talked in the fall about some hope, forecast, expectation that we'd be getting back to sort of a 50% level by this time. It's just not gone that way. It's really all about the virus. That 70% decline is felt across many airport businesses, including parking transactions, rental car operations, and concessions businesses inside and outside the airport. For context, PDX received $72 million as part of the first CARES Act airport grant program, and that money offset less than 50% of our projected revenue. The best estimate from our team in the current stimulus package is $15 million for PDX, 1-5, but we've still got to hear from the FAA for our exact allocation. Of that 15, about 2 or 3 is earmarked to support concessionaires at the airport. And again, we'll know more about that when we hear from the FAA. I'm personally really looking forward to working with the new Congress and the Biden administration on infrastructure legislation. It's something I've talked about a lot. I think we at the port have talked about a lot. If we've learned anything over the past year, it's the importance of being prepared in the face of uncertainty and being prepared for future disasters, even the ones that we prefer not to think about. As noted, the real pressure here is on the vaccine. I don't see us getting back to any meaningful return to travel or return to work until we've really addressed the pandemic. In vaccine news, our Port Police, Portland Airport Fire and Rescue, and PDX Comm Center staff began vaccinations on January 1st. We're working closely with local, state, and federal leaders to really better understand the timeline for vaccinating other frontline workers at PDX and our marine terminals. In my view, it's really important that our employees get vaccinated for each other and for our partners and our colleagues, our co-workers, families, and friends. It's just really important that we all step up and get vaccinated. Finally, on vaccines, we are talking to OHSU and Red Cross about a potential partnership to help lend our space and some of our talent and experience around logistics to help with vaccine distribution. We hope to have some updates in the next few days, as we all know that this issue is really critical for our community. Last item, really another piece of great news from our partners at TSA. The Transportation Security Administration recently announced that 2 employees based at PDX received top agency honors for excellence. We're really proud that they're continuing the tradition of outstanding work at PDX. Travelers know that we have an exceptional TSA crew at PDX. They are customer focused, traveler focused. They're just a really great bunch. TSA Federal Security Director for Oregon, Stephen Tabor, who you all have met and who usually attends our commission meetings, was the recipient of the Federal Security Director of the Year Award and was recognized for skillfully leading Team Oregon through what was an extraordinarily challenging year. And TSA Officer Naomi Eckstein was named Passenger Support Specialist of the Year. She initiated a better to best training for other TSA employees to encourage top-notch customer service to travelers. Just another great indication of the kind of high quality leadership and staff we've got at TSA here at PDX. So with that, Madam President, I conclude my comments today.
Thank you, Curtis, and I want to commend you and members of the port staff for your leadership in thinking about and moving forward on both COVID preparedness and our way out. I think it's really important and shows again the value of the port in helping us regionally. So thank you for that. I'll call for a motion and second to approve the executive director's report.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Pam, could you lead us through the roll call vote?
Yes, Commissioners Alexander,
Aye.
Brokomas,
Aye.
Lamb,
Aye.
Levy,
Aye.
McDonald,
Aye.
Nemi,
Aye.
O'Halloran,
Aye.
Pierce,
Aye.
and Saruta.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. We now have public comment from Stan Edwards, a PDX passenger service agent and a member of SEIU Local 49, who wishes to address the commission. Do we have him ready?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
Good morning, Commissioner. My name is Stan Edwards. I've worked as a passenger service agent at the airport with Huntley USA for the last 7.5 years. My coworkers and I spoke with you last month, and we appreciate your questions and commitment to making progress. We heard you ask port staff to look for a way to make sure we get a raise and more paid time off, especially during this pandemic. And we heard you say they should keep working on setting a standard for health insurance. The policy that port staff proposed falls short on what we need. It's too low and too slow. In March, we asked for a $3 an hour minimum wage, additional paid time off, and affordable health, medical insurance. The proposal you heard about last month is a step in the right direction, but it deals only with wages. It will mean no raise at all for me and my coworkers until next year. That's too far away. We've struggled since before the pandemic began. Frontline PDX workers like me got laid off in March. Then our company got bailed out, but didn't use the money to bail us out. Since we've been back at work, we've risked our lives and health to help passengers get to their flights. Now we're being told to wait another year for any recognition. We cannot wait another year for a raise. For me, that would mean another year of skipping a dose of my asthma and diabetes medicine, or skipping meals. My coworkers, I need a raise now. We keep on working throughout the holidays when lots of people were traveling, despite the spike in COVID numbers. We need the ability now to take paid time off, not be forced to choose between going to work sick and going broke. We need to make sure we have more than the 5 day per year of sick time that we get now by law. Leaders at other airports are taking action. In San Francisco, the minimum wage is $18.74, and they made a rule in November to make sure airport workers like me get health care. Airport service companies there now have to pay $9.50 an hour to cover health insurance. At JFK and LaGuardia, workers are now guaranteed health insurance to the New York Healthy Terminals Act was signed on New Year's Eve. Meanwhile, airlines got another $15 billion bailout. After my employer, Huntley USA, got $13 million, workers like me didn't see a dime. The three companies that do wheelchair service here at PDX told us in a bargaining this week that until the port implements the Airport Workers Bill of Rights with a real wage standard, they cannot do anything for us. It's very clear. The airports tell their contractors to keep costs low, which means keep our wages low. The only people who can break that logjam are you, port commissioners and staff. It's up to you to raise the standards and hold the airlines and contractors accountable for the poverty jobs they created. We need you to be bold, do more than what was talked about in December. Our negotiations with our employer changed a few days ago. Up to now, we had committed to not taking certain action at the airport, including going out on strike. At this point, we don't have a raise coming. I don't know what's going to happen to us. We are in a desperate situation. We don't want to go on strike, but just don't know how much longer we can hang on at 15 an hour. Community support for the Worker Bill of Rights is growing. We're submitting a couple of petitions in support of our demands, signed by 150 individuals and organizations, including the Latino Network, East Portland Action Plan, and Portland Jobs with Justice. Please take action, make sure all PDX workers get a real raise and pay time off right away, and keep the plan moving to make sure we get health care in the future. I have to go off the script on this one. I need you guys to really think about what I'm about to say here next. You guys are not here at the airport. I'm a frontline worker. I'm dealing with passengers every day. Yes, we wear masks. We have limited PPE. And I know that, 1655 is coming for us, within the year. But if you can sit back and think about, can you as commissioners and staff, put yourself in our position with $15 or $16.55? Can you guys survive off of that? And I assume no. So I need you guys to really, really look at this Worker Bill of Rights and make sure that, please put this consideration that, we need this now. I heard you guys talk about, the vaccines and when they're coming and whatnot. See, for us, we're the frontline workers. We deal with the passengers. Some of them are sick, and it's imperative that it's just like we need this. We need this Worker Bill of Rights, not 1 year from now, but we need it now. Because I can guarantee you that if we don't get it, you may not hear my voice this time next year, because I have diabetes. I do have asthma, and I'm just one person. Just imagine, how many workers here at PDX are going through the same thing that I'm going, So with that being said, thank you so very much for your time.
Thank you for your time, Mr. Edwards, and for your words here to the commission.
Thank you.
Our next action item, I'll call Antoinette Chandler to introduce the first agenda item, please.
Good morning, Madam President. Good morning, commissioners. We're here today to request your authorization to participate in the Business Oregon Bank Bond Refunding Loan. In 2010, the port obtained a loan in the amount of $8.4 million from the Infrastructure Finance Authority of the Oregon Business Development Department. The loan was funded by the issuance of Oregon Bond Bank revenue bonds, and the loan proceeds were used to finance Phase 1 improvements at the Troutdale Reynolds Industrial Park. At this point, I'd like to turn it over to Lisa Fidelity, who will present the existing and proposed structure of the refunding and highlight the estimated debt service savings that will be achieved as a result of participating in this transaction.
Next slide. Good morning. Today we are requesting approval of a resolution that, as Antoinette said, would allow the port to be a participant in the refunding of its existing Special Public Works Fund loan. Next slide. The existing loan was for improvements at the port strip development and was funded from proceeds of Oregon Bond Bank revenue bonds. The port executed the loan documents in August 2010 in the original amount of approximately $8.4 million. The current balance outstanding is just under $5 million, and the final maturity is December 2030. The loan is backed by the port's full faith and credit, including lawfully available funds in the general fund. Next slide, please. Business Oregon is now undertaking a refunding so that loan participants such as the port can achieve debt service savings. They expect to price the bonds the week of January 25th, and they have estimated that the port would achieve approximately $700,000 in savings over the remaining 10 years of its loan. Next slide. Oh, I'm sorry. Stay on this slide, please. There is no cost to the port to participate in the refunding other than some minor legal fees. Loan documents will be amended to reflect the new debt service schedule and any revised redemption provisions as applicable after the sale of the bonds. The final maturity of the loan will remain the same, December 1st, 2030. Next slide, please. The Executive Director recommends adoption of the resolution as provided in the agenda item.
Thank you, Lisa. Any questions from the commission? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for a motion and second for approval of the Executive Director's recommendation.
I was so moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Pam, would you lead us through the roll call vote, please?
Yes, Commissioners Alexander,
Aye.
Kupro-Comas,
Aye.
Lamb,
Aye.
Levy,
Aye.
McDonald,
Aye.
Nemi,
Aye.
O'Halloran,
Aye.
Pierce,
Aye.
and Saruta.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pam. I'll call on Dan Pippinger to introduce our next agenda item, please.
Good morning, Commissioners. This item is to request the approval of an award of a public improvement contract for the De-Icing Vault Rehabilitation at 3 pump stations at PDX. This is just a routine asset renewal and rehabilitation to the environmental conditions and use of our de-icing system and managing the stormwater at PDX during the de-icing system. Marcel Hermans, the engineering project manager assigned to this, is here to present a recommendation to award the contract. Marcel?
Yeah, thanks, Dan, and morning, everyone. As Dan said, I'm here to request approval to award a construction contract for the De-Icing Vault Rehab project in the amount of $665,017. Next slide, please. The de-icing system at PDX collects runoff from paved surfaces that may contain de-icing or anti-icing agents. Runoff is collected in wet wells and then pumped to the pre-processing facilities. The de-icing infrastructure was built in two distinct phases, which are referred to as the legacy system and the enhanced system, as shown on this slide. This project aims to address deterioration of the concrete in various wet wells and vault structures, and of mechanical systems, as well as the required rehabilitation and servicing of the system's main pumps. The work locations for this construction contract are marked by the yellow circles on this slide. Beyond the main work at pump stations G, L, and N, it also includes some smaller work at pump stations D and S and at the de-icing treatment facility. Next slide, please. As summarized on this slide, the scope of work for this contract includes work on vault structures, as well as on the mechanical and electrical systems of the vaults. Other items are safety netting to be installed at several vaults and a spill containment feature at the treatment facility. Next slide, please. The project was approved by the Airport Airlines Affairs Committee in 2018, and the design on the project started in 2019. Construction is scheduled to take place from April through September of this year. Next slide, please. As shown on this slide, the project budget is just over $2 million, which includes $250,000 of contingency. This is 14% of project cost and is reasonable given the risk profile, status of the project, and the complexities of the work site. The project is funded from the Airline Cost Center. The DBE goal for this contract was set at 5%. We're happy to report that the contractor CatWorks is DBE certified, and based on the information they submitted, we anticipate a total DBE utilization rate on the contract of 57%. Next slide, please. And with that, staff requests your approval of the Executive Director's recommendation.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for motion and second to approve the Executive Director's recommendation.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Okay, Pam?
Commissioners Alexander,
Aye.
Kupro-Comas,
Aye.
Lamb,
Aye.
Levy,
Aye.
McDonald,
Aye.
Nemi,
Aye.
O'Halloran,
Aye.
Pierce,
Aye.
and Saruda.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pam. Deanne, I think you have the next agenda item for us.
Thank you very much. This item requests the approval to award a master electric service agreement and a customer requested work agreement for the new Kennedy feeder project at PDX. This project is really to ensure the adequate and reliable electric power at PDX and supports the growth, including the terminal core project, our reduction in carbon footprint by enabling electrification of our heating systems, and we've worked extensively with Pacific Power to analyze options to develop a solid approach. It's a good partnership between the two entities, and here to present it is Alan DeKessian, the project manager assigned to this project. Alan?
Thank you, Dan, and good morning, commissioners. This agenda item requests your approval of two agreements with Pacific Power as part of the new Kennedy feeder project. This includes a master electric service agreement as well as a customer requested work agreement in the amount of approximately $2 million. Next slide, please. New Kennedy Feeder is really a new electrical service to PDX. It's necessary because of the increased demand for power to serve the 5 projects listed here that you're already familiar with. We're also planning to convert our building heating source from natural gas to electricity in the next few years to reduce our carbon footprint. Our forecast is that when these projects are all complete in 2024, our peak demand for electricity will rise to just under 20 MVA. You can think of MVA, it's an engineering unit, similar to a megawatt. Next slide, please. This table shows the 3 existing feeders and the substations where they originate. On the previous slide, I mentioned that our peak demand for electricity is increasing to just under 20 MVA. You can see that with the 2 primary feeders being operational, we have 20 MVA of service capacity. However, when we lose the Alderwood feeder, our service capacity drops by 20%. In the future, we'll have to reduce our electrical demand whenever we lose one of the primary feeders during peak demand conditions. This could mean an impact to comfort or operations at PDX. Next slide, please. Working with Pacific Power, Port Engineering developed a strategy to ensure that we can maintain full operations at PDX in the future. The plan calls for installing a new feeder from the Kennedy substation, as well as increasing the capacity of the existing Cully backup feeder. As the table shows, we'll have 4 feeders with equal capacity. If we lose any of the primary feeders, we'll still have a 14% cushion over our peak demand level. Next slide, please. This slide shows how the Kennedy feeder will be brought to PDX. Segment A in blue will be performed by Pacific Power. Segment B in red will be performed by the Kennedy Feeder Project team, and Segment C in green will be performed by the T-Core Project team. In addition, the plan includes splitting the Killingsworth feeder that currently connects to the central utility plant so that it also connects to the T-Core West expansion. This is shown as Segment D in yellow. Next slide, please. The Master Electric Service Agreement covers the work that's being performed and paid for by Pacific Power. Pacific Power is investing about $1.8 million of their capital into the project based on the expectation that our average monthly bill will increase by about 40%. If the actual increase is less than 40%, Pacific Power will add a surcharge to our bill. Our calculations show that our average monthly bill will increase by about 75%, so there's a significant factor of safety. Next slide, please. The customer requested work agreement covers the work that is being performed by Pacific Power, but paid for by the port. The estimated cost of this work is under $2 million. The agreement calls for a true up at the end of the project so that the port will pay the actual final costs. Next slide, please. The project schedule shows that we're currently in the design phase, and we plan to come back to you to approve a public improvement contract for construction in June. Our plan is to be complete with construction in December of 22 in advance of the opening of the T-Core West expansion. Next slide, please. The CRWA, or Customer Requested Work Agreement, that we're requesting your approval for today has an estimated cost of just under $2 million. Our budget for construction is $3.7 million. The project is also funding the work being performed by the T-Core project team, as I showed you earlier. That includes about $170,000 for design and another $3.7 million for construction. These T-Core amendments were approved by Commission last March. Port staff is budgeted at $1.6 million. Our contingency of $3.2 million is about 30% of the estimated costs, which is reasonable for a complex utilities project at this stage of design. The total project budget is $14.4 million. The project will be funded 88% by the airlines and 12% by the port. The T-Core public improvement contract has a small business goal of 20%. We'll establish a goal for the future public improvement contract once our design is complete. Next slide, please. On the topic of small business goals, you might have noticed that I didn't mention a specific goal for the $2 million customer requested work agreement with Pacific Power. That work is governed by the Public Utilities Commission regulations and Pacific Power's policies. As part of our negotiation with Pacific Power, the port added language to the agreement to affirm our shared goal of maximizing small business participation. Pacific Power has agreed to actively seek out and include small businesses in their work and to partner with the port to maximize participation. They also agreed to share their results for our analysis and tracking. We feel that this partnership approach will drive good results. Next slide. Staff requests approval of the Executive Director's recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions from the commission? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for a motion and second to approve the Executive Director's recommendation.
I was so moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Pam, would you lead us through the roll call vote, please?
Yes, Commissioners Alexander,
Aye.
Kupro-Comas,
Aye.
Lamb,
Aye.
Levy,
Aye.
McDonald,
Aye.
Nemi,
Aye.
O'Halloran,
Aye.
Pierce,
Aye.
and Saruta.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.